high-tech world of Fox's hit drama 24, Jack Bauer has one day to accomplish his mission with the help of his IT pro and development team. But in the real world, where you work, you have mere minutes, no budgets, and clueless bosses, all conspiring to keep you from accomplishing your mission-critical duties. But fear not, your story is about to be told. TechEd 2006 presents a new high-tech drama about real heroes solving real problems in the real world. 4 promises, 4 episodes, 1 hit drama. Brace yourselves for the premiere episode of 4.
The following takes place between 10:33 a.m. and 10:36 a.m. with the elite IT pro and development team members of Mondo Bank's Information Technology Unit, known internally as the ITU.
Mr. Power.
Call me Jack.
I'm Chloe. That's Raj, Edgar, and Sue. So you're the new ITU boss?
Oh, don't think of me as your boss. Just think of me as a really high-maintenance information worker who only knows enough about technology to be dangerous, but gets to tell you what to do.
Great.
And who writes your reviews.
Great.
Okay, people. Today is the final day of due diligence when we acquire Mondo Bank's competitor, Mini Bank. It is my job to make things run smoothly, and it's your job to actually make things run smoothly.
So you get to FaceTime with the president and all the credit?
Pretty much.
And what do we get?
The budget increase?
I got an alert on System Center Operation Manager.
I didn't know Mom came with sirens and flashing lights.
A new upgrade.
What does that mean?
Could be a bad disk. Crappy software.
A rogue process chewing up cycles.
Network connectivity, storage.
We got to get this fixed before the president calls. Jack Power.
Jack?
Bank President Ritchie, what can I do for you?
What's happening to my email? It's taking forever to open anything with an attachment.
Jack, this is Carl. Our auditors are trying to send over some Sarbanes-Oxley compliance stuff. President Ritchie has to sign them, then meet with the board. In seconds.
This is my email, Jack. It's life and death.
I, Jack Power, will handle this personally. By delegating. Okay, people, this is where the make Jack look good part begins.
I think I got it. I've been tracking trends on a disk the last couple of weeks through Mom, getting a bunch of write errors. Looks like it finally pooped out.
Pooped out, is that a technical term?
Yeah, sure.
Well, can't you just poop it back in?
A WS man alert just confirmed it. One of the nodes in the cluster is going to have to come out.
Okay. Who do we have in the server room?
Those older interns.
Oh. Well, they'll have to do.
Server room, interns Bob. And Carol speaking.
Get that bad disk out of the cluster and do it now.
We're on it. You and you, change the disk.
By the way, sir, we're on it.
That'll solve it. I better call the president.
Hang on.
I'll call the president. President Ritchie, system performance is restored.
Good work, Jack. What did you do?
Could somebody write down what we just did so I can tell the president? I don't want to bore you with the technical details, ma'am, but let's just say we, reduced complexity.
The president and I like your thinking, Jack. You really whipped the ITU into shape.
Well, you can expect things to run perfectly from now on.
Yeah. Oh, man, we're in big trouble now.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. IT pros and developers as heroes. At Microsoft, that's how we think of you. And that's why we're making these 4 promises that you're hearing about tonight. Now let's talk about those Microsoft promises. I want to start with the first one, which is manage complexity, achieve agility. This is really focused on our dynamic systems initiative, something we've been working on now for about 3 or 4 years. It's an area we've been very, very focused on in a consistent way. There are many pieces to this. Knowledge-driven management is very important. Design for operations with a life cycle, starting with developers all the way going through the IT life cycle is very critical. And the third piece of it, and the one I want to focus on tonight, is virtual infrastructure and talk about the investments that Microsoft is making together with the industry to use virtualization to revolutionize the way you design your data centers and roll out applications. Now, when we think about virtualization, we really think about this at multiple levels. The level of virtualization that most people think about, we would call hardware virtualization. This is what you use when you virtualize the entire hardware. It's what Virtual Server does. Products like VMware and Xen work at this level. And it's a very, very effective way to achieve a great deal of isolation of applications in a packaged format. In our case, we call it VHD format for Windows. Those packages are very isolated, but they are not very granular in terms of the level of control you have. Yet this kind of virtualization, hardware virtualization, is very critical. It's a critical step and one that we're investing heavily in. In some ways, it's some of the first things that you'll see business results on. There are, however, two more places of investment that we think are pretty important. The middle one, which is actually the one that you'll see the furthest out. This will take another generation of the operating system beyond Longhorn to really get this into place, is OS services virtualization. This is where within the operating system we virtualize the key system services like WinLogon, to allow you to run multiple instances of this at the same time. Now, this is maybe not useful in the most generalized sense, certainly not as much as hardware virtualization, but it's particularly interesting in hosting environments where you want to run thousands of identities, thousands of different companies on a single server. Having those system services be virtualized is a key step. The third piece, which is one that we do think will be very broadly applicable to everybody in this room and every IT shop, is application virtualization. This is the concept of being able to take and package an application up as a virtual object that can get sent down to the server or computer. It's particularly interesting in the short run to allow applications to be run in a Windows client environment without having fear of interactions between them. With application virtualization technology, it's possible, for example, to run two versions of Office on the same machine, which you could not do without this technology. Or two versions of your business applications that use different DLLs that are incompatible. Different, for example, levels of ADO that I know people have struggled with. So providing this provides less isolation than, say, hardware virtualization, but much more granularity of control. So it's a series of trade-offs. Now, it's an area where we see a lot of important potential. We have recently acquired a local company, Softricity, which have been a leader in this space. They have a clear leadership position in terms of application virtualization, and you'll see us incorporate the Softricity technology into our products in the months and years to come. So virtualization is very key. We're making investments across the board. With that, let me invite Bill Anderson up to give you a demo of Windows Server Virtualization and our new product that we have in System Center, Virtual Machine Manager.
Thanks, Bob.
Bill.
As Bob alluded to, virtualization is a big investment for us across the stack, and what I want to do is show you some of the technologies you can expect to see from us to improve that virtualization experience for you and really make that strategy a reality. Now, the first thing you've got up in front of you is our Windows Server Virtualization user interface. Now, this is done in the MMC, a tool that you're used to using on a day-to-day basis, and the goal is to be able to manage multiple workloads on a single Windows server and be able to manage those workloads appropriately. So as you take a look here, I've got an array of different workloads there, ranging from Linux Enterprise, 64-bit, notice an x64 there, x86, as well as a Longhorn server that we're running. So can run a wide array of things in the server virtualization world. A couple of things I do want to point out. The 2K3 server one is actually built in Virtual Server 2005 R2, today's virtual server technology, and we've migrated that forward so we can make a commitment to you to make your virtualization investments of today carry forward for tomorrow. The second workload I want to take a look at is that Longhorn server workload that's there. As I open up the VM window, you'll notice, first of all, 4 gig of virtual memory being allocated to this particular virtual workload, breaking through some of the scalability challenges that we saw previously, kind of capping us at about 3.6 gig. We can now support upwards to and over 32 gig of memory, as well as up to 8 processors. In fact, if I open up Task Manager, you'll even see, whoops, click there, sorry. You'll notice that this particular VM's been allocated 4-way system. So making sure inside a Windows Server you can manage those workloads effectively is a key priority. What's also a priority, though, is making sure that you're dynamic in the way that you handle these workloads. So let's say, for example, that this workload, which is pretty comfortable right now, evolves over time and you're adding more users and more users and more users. At some point, you're probably going to have to add resources. Well, we want to make sure that through our Windows Server virtualization, you can dynamically hot add resources like memory, processor, etc. Jump back to my virtualization window here. I'm going to go ahead and select that workload, choose the settings, go to my memory setting here, and we'll just go ahead and kick it up a notch. Go to 5120 there. I'm going to go ahead and select OK. And as I go back out here, you'll notice
it changes.
It's actually changed. It's dynamically allocated that memory out for this particular VM so that you reach the capabilities you need without having to have user interruption.
So this dynamic capability is a unique capability of Windows Server virtualization. The ability to run 4 processors, these sorts of dynamic capabilities, large memory, really means that Windows Server virtualization will be appropriate for a broad set of workloads, including high-end things such as database or messaging. Now, our plan for Windows Server virtualization is to release this within about 6 months of when we ship Windows Server, and it will be as a part of the operating system. It will be included as a standard feature of the operating system.
Absolutely. So that's a great tool, the Windows Server virtualization user interface. Great to manage a small number of workloads on a few virtual servers. But think about it as you grow from tens to hundreds to thousands of virtual workloads. Our commitment to you is to be able to use your enterprise management products today that you use to manage those physical assets to manage your virtual assets as well. So I'm going to show you in System Center some of the technologies we're going to be making available for you to do that integrated virtualization management. Now, the first console that I've opened up here is our System Center Virtual Machine Manager. We announced this at WinHack a couple weeks ago. This is going to be out in beta later this summer. It's very public and very available for you to get, so make sure you're watching out for it. And what we're going to do is a simple physical to virtual migration scenario. We're going to take an existing workload, move it from physical to virtual, and consolidate the servers. So I'm just going to run a simple wizard-driven consolidate server task. Now, I've identified a system on our network already that is the right one for us to go migrate across. And it's actually going to auto-populate the FQDN for me. I'm going to go type in my creds. We'll go to the next screen. At this point in time, I could type in some details about it. I'm not going to worry about it. I also have the ability to configure the hardware that this particular VM wants. We're just going to leave the defaults here for the sake of time for the get out early promise that you made earlier. I'm going to go assign it to a virtual machine host. Now, at this point in time, we're doing something very different. Just moving the workload is one thing, but being able to intelligently place that workload based on capacity is another. This is our intelligent placement functionality inside a Virtual Machine Manager. It's based on some modeling technology from Microsoft Research that you have availability today in the form of System Center Capacity Planner. This allows us to look at the hardware requirements for the workload, look at the capabilities of the destination, and be able to more accurately predict for you where that needs to go. Now, you're IT pros. You can go customize the ratings if you'd like to change these particular levers, but hey, who am I to argue with Microsoft Research? So I'm just going to go ahead and take the top suggested one, choose the default location for it, and it's that simple.
Get that workload migrated.
Absolutely. In a simple wizard-driven process, we can do that. Now, the other thing I want to show you is with our System Center Operations Manager, product formerly known as MOM as we move forward, how we can actually integrate that into your virtual workloads as well. So as I open up my System Center Operations Manager console, inside of my state view, you'll notice that I've got an AD server that's shown me a critical error. What we're actually doing is working through, this is a virtual workload, working through that workload to be able to diagnose things like memory, processor, etc. And when I go dig into the alerts, because of the rich knowledge that's actually associated with this, I get to understand down below that says, hey, look, this workload's actually running low on memory. So I showed you earlier how we can hot add memory. Boy, wouldn't it be really cool if now, as opposed to manage that as a one-off, all the knowledge is right here at my fingertips. You choose add memory, run the task, and it's actually going to go out and do that for me. Now, you could associate this with an alert as well so that it dynamically did it. But you'll notice now that I've run the task, go back into my state view, it's actually resolved it, the system's healthy again, the alert's been cleared out. So the tools at your disposal to be able to really get to that self-managing dynamic data center we've been talking about for you.
That's great, Bill. When we think about virtualization, one of the key things is how we integrate it together with all of our management tools in one key thing. We don't think of virtualization as something separate that's different that you need to deal with. We really think of it as a part of your overall IT infrastructure. Hang on for a couple minutes and we'll be back here.
You got it.
So let me talk for just a second about Vista and deployment and System Center. One of the key things as we roll out a new operating system has been to put a lot of focus on how we can make that operating system easier for you to deploy. We put a lot of energy into Vista in making it easy to upgrade to this operating system and migrate pieces forward. We focused on making Vista a much more secure operating system so that your users can run with lower rights capabilities, thus protecting the environment and giving you more control over their environment. We've also put a lot of energy into System Center tools, both in terms of Operations Manager as well as Configuration Manager, SMS, to make it easier for you to roll these systems out. And then once they are rolled out, for you to be able to keep an eye on the systems and understand any issues that are happening on those machines. So let's take a look at some of the capabilities that are coming in Vista that are quite unique.
Absolutely. So the first thing we want to focus on is the concept of Vista imaging or image-based deployment. Many of you for tens of years literally have been doing image-based deployments of Windows, and Vista actually natively supports the ability to be image deployed with our own imaging format. So one of the things that we want to do is help you better manage those images that you've got invested. We're going to do it in two ways. One, we're going to give you visibility inside the image, and two, we're going to try and help you reduce those numbers of images. Now the first tool you see here is the System Image Manager. The goal for this is to allow you to see inside of a Vista-based image. Because it's file-based, we have the ability to look at the file on the system and look inside the components that are there. If you look at the lower left-hand corner of the screen, this is looking at a flat file on a drive, looking at the components in this Vista image. So if I forgot what my favorites were or what my start page might be inside of IE, I actually have the ability to drill down through the component and the settings here. So I don't have to go put it on a pristine machine and figure out, oh, that's what my start page is, giving you better tools to manage those images. Now the second promise is to be able to reduce that number of worldwide images. To be able to do that, we want to trim the image down and allow you to do more things in an unintended way. So being a national or international company like we are, language packs are important for us. Through the System Image Manager, I have the ability to select one of these language packs that are over here, and I can actually easily add this to my answer file. What I do is go to File, Save it out as an XML file, and now I have an unattended file that I can use other deployment tools like an SMS to go target that particular language pack at the right geography, at the right user community.
So Vista has a file-based standardized image format that allows you to do quite a bit of customization of that for your own company needs, but also customize it as appropriate for different geographies. Given the great international capabilities, the ability to really dynamically add languages to Vista and across the globe, this is one of the great examples of how you can take advantage of that file format.
Absolutely. And the second thing we want to show you is a little different from the earlier promises. Instead of showing you future technologies to help you deploy Vista, I'm going to show you how SMS 2003 today can help you be ready to deploy Vista as soon as we ship it. So most of you are using this tool on a day-to-day basis for different functionalities, so you're familiar with the user interface. First thing for deployment of any operating system is planning. So we want to leverage the SMS inventory to help you out with that. A few weeks ago, we gave you the conditions or requirements for Vista-capable PCs and for Vista Premium-ready PCs. What I've done is gone into SMS and created a simple collection based on an inventory query that gives me a result set of machines that meet the criterion to actually accept that operating system. So you don't have to spend a lot of time, you know which machines will work and which machines you may have to do hardware upgrades. The second thing with an SMS is we have the ability to support the new Vista WIM format, so we can deploy that for you. In fact, you're going to see an update to SMS this week that gives you that support and a few other things, so look out for that.
So this is part of the 2003 implementations that people have already deployed?
Absolutely. The infrastructure you have today should pave the way for Vista when we get it out to you. So a couple other things we've done with SMS in this update to make sure that you can get optimized deployment of Vista. First of all, many of you may not have known this, but in Vista you don't have to go enter the 5x5 key as part of your deployment. You can actually just point it at what a volume license server, or VL server as we call it. So within SMS we've automated that process so you can tell it, hey look, the product key isn't required for this, it's Vista. The other things we're doing inside of SMS is using the new Vista tools. Vista has a new user state migration tool, a new sysprep tool. So we're leveraging using those in the way that we deploy the system. So I have the ability to go under state capture and actually add in user state and be able to use the new version of USMT in Vista so you can actually migrate those workloads more easily, migrate your user state and data more easily from Windows XP to your Vista destination systems. And so being able to put all this stuff together, our goal is improve the manageability of Vista, but make sure that when we ship it, you guys are ready to rock and roll.
Ready to get that out. Thanks
Absolutely.
a lot, Bill.
Thanks, Bob.
great new capabilities, but fits into your existing infrastructure, so the investments that you've already made, the training that you already have, can be carried forward. So that's an important area of investment. I want to focus now on one important workload that Microsoft is entering into, which is the high-performance computing workload. Now, for some of you out there, this is an incredibly important workload, and maybe it's a little less important for some other businesses. Certainly if you're in financial services, oil and gas, pharmaceuticals, all of those are industries where taking advantage of the computing power that is now available at very low cost is incredibly important for your business. I think you'll see over time that as the tools get simpler and the needs for business analysis increase, that using the power of microprocessors and software, your companies, even in other industries, will get great advantage out of high-performance computing and technologies and products like Microsoft's Compute Cluster Server. Now, we're pleased to announce that we've just released this product to manufacturing, so it will be available in the channel very, very shortly. And the key thing about the Compute Cluster Server is the fact that it takes and provides an environment that is very familiar to all of you. It's the Windows environment, it integrates with your Windows infrastructure, it uses Active Directory for deployment, etc., and makes it very, very simple for you to take and roll out at a low cost this key workload and these computing needs. I mean, in the past, this has really been a Linux-dominated environment where that whole set of infrastructure had to be rebuilt, and in some cases, the training just wasn't available. So we have a very compatible, very complete set of tools. We're working across the entire industry to make sure that the ISV applications that you depend on will be ready. We've been incredibly excited by the response that we've gotten from all of our partners and customers that have seen this. The ISVs are really adopting the technology and bringing out the apps. The OEMs are building products. And the customers who have used this in the beta process are so excited. They just think it's a huge benefit for their business. So let's now take a look at the new Compute Cluster Server. And what I'd like to do is invite the director of that business unit, Kirill Fanoff, out to show us CCS.
Hi, Bob.
Kirill, good evening.
Good evening. So Compute Cluster Server just released, but we already have early adopters that are using it to design jet engines or do protein folding simulation, weather modeling. What I want to show you tonight is how we're really taking HPC to the mainstream. This spreadsheet was designed by Cornell Theory Center and University of Waterloo to model the bond portfolio's value at risk based on fluctuation in interest rates over time. So if I'm a broker and I have a customer on the phone, I might want to compute the value of this portfolio for 50 bonds, and for each of the bonds I would perform 10,000 simulations of Monte Carlo. And here you're watching that each bond computation completes and is being done here in a workstation. And this is taking some time. Depending on maturity of the bonds, it might take up to a minute or 30 seconds for each of the bonds to get computed. And so it will take several minutes while the customer is waiting on the phone. Now, with multi-thread capability in Excel 12, you might be able to speed this up on a multi-core workstation. But let's see if we can make this even faster by offloading the computation onto the cluster. Here we have 4 nodes in a compute cluster that will be able to speed up this computation while providing reliability should one of the nodes fail. So when I click execute, directly from the workstation, from the spreadsheet, a job gets scheduled onto the cluster and it gets authenticated against Active Directory under the floor automatically. And this is an example of seamless integration that you were talking about.
That integration is very important, and this aspect of having an application that runs on an analyst workstation, but then also can submit a job to a cluster is a very, very common thing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a case where we're using Excel as the application. You see that with many different ISV applications. One interesting point is when Office 2007 ships, there's a new Office Server Services 2007 with Excel services that will allow you to take the advantage of the cluster capabilities and run Excel spreadsheet tasks on a server.
That's right. And what you're seeing here is, while we're talking, the computation were farmed out onto the cluster, and the results are coming back. The individual colors are showing which of the nodes performed the computation. So if you look back at the workstation we were running on, it's still trucking along. while this computation completed in 50 seconds.
Makes total sense given the more microprocessor power is available. The scheduler just scheduled all that out, got the jobs out there, and they all came back.
Exactly. And what we didn't show before, here's the console that's used to manage the cluster. In the MMC console, in one place, you see all the compute nodes. You can see their performance here, the computation already completed. And here we have a job console, which for every job is showing the tasks. Here, each bond was performed as a separate computation. You can manage it from one easy place, and it's integrated directly into the workstation environment. So here's an example of how we're accelerating time to insight with an environment that's easy to deploy, integrated directly into your IT infrastructure and into your workstation applications. I invite you to come by the booth to see this demo, and also hands-on lab to try this on yourselves.
That's great, Kill. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Bob.
So that's one of the new innovations that we're very excited about, taking something that a small number of people have used in some isolated ways, trying to make it much more mainstream, much more available at a better cost, better integration into IT environments. And we think that for those industries that are already focusing on high-performance computing, and for many others, this is extremely significant. So that's the first promise. We talked about a few of the products that really apply there. There's a wide variety of things focusing in the operating system and the IT operations area. As we move forward, obviously we have new generations of Vista and Longhorn coming. We have a new wave of System Center products coming in 2007. Updates to Operations Manager and Configuration Manager, the new Virtual Machine Manager that will be entering, all focused on working together in an integrated way to bring your costs down. Now, what I want to do is invite you to go to a strategic briefing that Bob Kelly will be having tomorrow, starting at 1:30 to 2:45.
And now, promise number 2 and episode number 2 of 4.
Previously on 4.
What's happening to my email?
I got an alert on System Center Operation Manager.
You really whipped the ITU into shape.
Where you can expect things to run perfectly from now on.
The following takes place between 10:37 a.m. and 10:41 a.m.
Hero, plug it back in. We'll then have Andy or Bob replace it and then plug it back in. Jeez, you guys, you're never going to get promoted if you don't take more initiative.
Jack Power.
We've just received a voicemail threat from an unidentified hacker, and it came from an internal phone.
It said that an unknown, fast-propagating virus will rearrange the decimal points on all Excel docs on our servers within half an hour, unless they receive a hybrid car and a Starbucks card with $100 on it.
We're under attack, Jack. These are my expense reports. It's life and death.
Chloe, it's an inside job.
Chill, Jack. Edgar, call the Microsoft Security Response Center and get a patch for this thing.
Don't we have to wait till next Tuesday?
That's 6 days!
It's a joke, Jack. Never mind.
You're right. They're distracted by the virus. I'll download the hypersensitive financial files to a USB. Meet me in the parking lot. Bring a laptop.
I have the signature. Sending it to you, Raj.
Got it. Pushing out the fix now.
Sue, you ready with NAP? It'll automatically quarantine and update the remaining machines as they log in.
Can Edgar do it? I don't feel well. I think I need some air.
What about the storm front?
You mean Forefront? Forefront is automatically pushing out the patch to the servers to protect email and data.
Should I call the president?
Let's kill this thing first.
Dang, I don't have the RMS credentials. Stay here. I'll get one of those server room guys to give them to me.
Now what?
Someone hit the panic button in the server room. Jack, go find security and get down there.
I better go too. Jack couldn't tell the server room from the men's room.
Give me those RMS credentials or I dump this double tall mocha into the rack.
No!
You never get away with this.
Sure I will. I released the virus using your logon.
But the virus came from my computer?
Edgar, a hacker. Just as I suspected, and he confessed.
It's not me, it's Sue.
It is? Sorry, little help? Sue, A hacker, just as I suspected.
Your trouble is just beginning, Jack. I've launched a denial of service attack.
Well, you'll definitely be getting a bad performance review from me. Edgar, let me know when you fix that denial of service thingy.
Okay, so let's talk a little about security. Protect information, control access. Our focus really here for the last few years has been on trustworthy computing and making the systems more secure overall by making sure we have in place an engineering process that ensures that our products are as secure as possible and have an infrastructure in place to get updates out to you. I'm always amazed when we roll out one of these security patches on Tuesday, 250 million computers around the world are updated within 72 hours. And then, of course, all of you update your computers. Our focus now as we move forward is to take and build on that foundation of trustworthy computing and bring about a set of applications, server applications, that are focused on the security area. We have a comprehensive suite that we're building, and of course our focus on this is to make it as easy as possible to use in businesses of all sizes, but also to build it in and integrate it with other products so that there is that seamlessness and that ease of operation. When we think about this, there's several products that we've had in the market for some time or we're about to bring out to the market. We have an important set of updates, a refresh of ISA, Internet Security Accelerator, and a set of antigen products that protect in anti-malware on Exchange servers, SharePoint, and instant messaging. Those products are being updated just in a few months in the September timeframe. So an important set of updates focusing on the security and the edge in your infrastructure. And today what I want to do is announce a new family brand, a new set of products that will work across your enterprise for security, and that's called Forefront. Forefront will become a complete set of security products from Microsoft, updating the capabilities that we have with Antigen today, protecting Exchange, protecting SharePoint, but then also adding client-side protection. The edge remains important with ISA. All of these are designed to work together in a comprehensive and cohesive way to secure your business. With that, let me invite Colleen up to give you a pretty thorough demo of Microsoft's new security products. Colleen, good evening.
Thanks, Bob. Wow, there's a lot of people here today, huh? Thanks so much for coming. So today I will show you how the Forefront security products can help you protect your information and control access across the client operating system, the server applications, and the network edge. Now in this demonstration, we have Mark, who is a salesperson who works for a company called Contoso, and this is his laptop. It's running Forefront Client Security, which provides antivirus and anti-spyware and assesses the security state of his machine. But Contoso uses client security as well as server-level security to prevent viruses from even getting to Mark's laptop. Now Mark is at an airport lounge and he is trying to access Contoso's Exchange, SharePoint, and live communication server. So he's got about 5 minutes before he can board his flight, and so he's waiting for an important document from his colleague Lisa. So he launches his browser to get to Contoso's secure portal. He's presented a logon form by ISA Server 2006, which protects Contoso's network edge and provides secure remote access. He needs to identify himself, so let's go do that. Now ISA Server validates his access credentials with Active Directory and then authenticates on his behalf with all the servers that he needs access to.
So one of the new features of ISA 2006 is the ability to very, very easily publish internal SharePoint websites onto the internet for secure internet use.
That's exactly right. And as you can see here, Contoso uses a single portal to provide its users access to their Outlook inbox, instant messaging, as well as the usual document collaboration capabilities. So Mark sees the email from Lisa. He finds the file that he was expecting, and he also sees a text file which he opens. It says that Antigen for Exchange removed a virus that was hidden in there. So that means that antigen for exchange allowed the clean file through, but removed the virus-infected file, even though both of them were inside the same zip file.
So we're smart enough to look at the insides of compound files like zip and really make sure that only those files that need to be quarantined are left out.
That's exactly right. So Mark and Lisa also happen to be friends, and Lisa wants to get hold of this new song that Mark's been telling her about. So Mark figures it's probably too big to send via email, so he wants to upload this to this internal share. He also wants to change the file extension from WAV to text to bypass security.
Thinking that it'll bypass his IT policy.
So this is going to be especially amusing to Contoso's security administrators because Contoso considers this inappropriate content. So Antigen for SharePoint blocks it by using the VirusScan API for SharePoint.
So only those files that your policies define as being valid on that server can be uploaded.
That's right. So now that Mark is safe and aboard on the plane, and we have seen the end-user perspective, let's take a look at how Contoso's IT administrators use the Forefront products to make all this possible. Let's see how Contoso does network edge security and go to the ISA Server Management Console. Now, ISA Server examines network traffic at the application layer, which means that it does not just look at the headers of network packets, it looks at the contents to see if it conforms to what the application is expecting. And then it forwards only the good packets to the server applications to protect them from malicious attacks.
Yeah, this second level of control is important, and most companies have an external firewall, but having an application level firewall is also very important because it can work at the individual protocol level, doing a different level of packet decryption to make sure that the packets that go through, in fact, are clean.
Yeah, you talked about decryption. So what will happen if this traffic is encrypted over SSL? ISA Server will decrypt the traffic, examine the contents, and then re-encrypt the good traffic before forwarding it on. And because ISA Server truly understands how Exchange, SharePoint, and live communication servers work, it provides automated tools and wizards that make it really easy to define the policies to set up secure remote access to these servers.
And all of these things are integrated together with Active Directory, so user credentials only need to be entered once across all the wide variety of sites that you may want to publish to your users in the internet.
That's right. So let's go see how Contoso does server application protection and go to the Antigen Management Console. Now, Antigen is an antivirus product that uses multiple different antivirus scan engines from different providers. You can simultaneously use up to 9 different AV engines, such as Sophos, Computer Associates, and Norman. So what this does is it gives you failover capability, and it gives you the ability to leverage the different strengths of all these different AV engines. For example, some of these are really good at protecting against macroviruses, while others are really good at protecting against worms.
And if only one of them has a particular virus that's just hit, you'll be able to catch that as well. This idea of having multi-levels of engines, multi-level of protection overall, but then also multiple engines on the server is very important for shared sites like Exchange or SharePoint.
Exactly. So let's take a look at Antigen for SharePoint. So here Contoso's administrators can define policy to block a wide range of files. And as we saw earlier, Mark could not upload his song by merely changing the file extension because Antigen checks for true file types. Now, Contoso also uses Microsoft Operations Manager to gain visibility into the state of its machines. It also centralizes the security alerts from all the different servers, as well as the clients which are protected by Forefront Client Security. But speaking of clients, what are the new security features in Windows Vista? So Vista has 3 really cool new security features. There's the new user account control feature, which will give Mark least privilege access, but it will allow him to run all the application that he needs to. And then there's the BitLocker feature, which will allow Mark to encrypt the entire hard drive on his laptop. So if someone actually steals his laptop, then good luck to them for trying to extract the data from it. And finally, because Vista has Internet Explorer 7 protected mode, it protects Mark while he is surfing the internet and prevents the silent install of malicious code on this machine.
You put that together with literally thousands of person years of engineering work focused on improving the security of the operating system, and when Longhorn server ships network access protection that will ensure that PCs are quarantined off of your network until specific health policies that you've defined have been passed, whether you're coming in through a VPN or trying to attach to an internet through a direct connection or a wireless connection. NAP will protect all of those. That's Vista or XP clients together with Longhorn server.
Right. Great. That's the end of my demonstration.
Great. Thank you
very much, Bob.
So you can see a broadened focus on building security solutions to secure your enterprise. Again, a key distinguishing characteristic here is the way we are able to work across Microsoft products, provide a level of integration that simplifies your IT operations. Products like Antigen and the update to ISA will be available just in a couple of months in September, and we'll be rolling out the full suite of Forefront products over the next year or so. So these are all very important products. These will be covered as well by Bob Kelly in his strategic briefing that will once again happen tomorrow starting at 1:30 to 2:45.
In a world where high-tech promises are kept, comes the third promise and the third episode of 4.
Previously on 4.
It's an inside job.
Give me those RMS credentials or I dump this double tall mocha into the rack.
You'll definitely be getting a bad performance review from me.
The following takes place between 10:41 a.m. and 10:44 a.m.
No worries for us, Sue. Unmodified rules for the ISA servers at each of our branches. Denial of service? Denied.
No!
Thank President Ritchie, we've eradicated the denial of service threat with
ISA.
ICE.
ISA.
ISA. Right. Frozen right up.
President Ritchie, the call center's getting swamped. Our service reps won't be able to handle the load.
Jack Power.
Our Armando Bay customer stock trading site is dropping transactions and forcing people to phone their orders through. We're losing $1 million a minute.
Fix it. This is beyond life and death. This is money.
Okay, but over 120 different legacy subsystems will be tough to connect quickly.
This wouldn't have happened if President Ritchie would have approved the budget for the migration cost.
Raj, the president can hear you.
I did reject that proposal. On Carl's advice. Carl, you're fired. Get out of here.
Okay, we're going to...
Yes. Mitigate to one reliable, fully scalable system.
Migrate.
Migration, nearly complete.
Server is accepting 200 transactions per second and climbing.
I'll call President Ritchie.
No, wait. I'll call the president.
How did you get here?
I hitched a ride with Carl.
Jack?
President Ritchie, I did it. The website's back up. We stopped losing money.
I'm going to need some immediate ROI data. The board's going to want some justification for the migration cost. So get me website uptime, percentage of call center volume decrease, and total profit for transaction fees.
Yeah.
No problem, President Ritchie. We'll build you an app to triangulate all that data right away.
Do it.
Server room.
Soma, Sanjay, Goof, you guys need to locate some data. I'm emailing you what we need.
No problem. You count on us. Right, Soma? Right.
Let's get that app built. Go.
I'm using Team System. Coordinating now online with the architect. Now the tester. I need another keyboard, people! Where's the designer?
Right here, Edgar. Don't forget, user experience matters. I designed this in Expression. Easy on the eyes, huh?
Yes, it is. And I can code from it directly with Visual Studio 2005.
I think you and I could make beautiful applications together.
That's great. But you actually can build all those applications that look just like that, right? So let's talk about our third promise. advancing business with IT solutions. How can we help you build software that really does deliver for your customers and for your end users? Again, we think about this in a way where the software all has to work together. The combination of products like Visual Studio, our new Expression suite of designer products, developers and designers working together with IT, building business applications with products like SQL Server and BizTalk. How can they all work together? And how can they also connect to existing systems, all of the legacy connections that exist, web service connections or other connections from mainframes and Unix systems and Linux systems, whatever you have out there. That's an important part of the applications that you build, and we're focused on building software to make that easier. We're also focused on building services and capabilities to help you build applications that really bring results. Things like SQL Server reporting services that can bring to life business data, allowing your people to make the best possible business decisions and really align the solutions that you're building to your business. A key part of this is making it as easy as possible to build this software so that the results can be demonstrated as quickly as possible and you can build solutions that drive business advantage and unique capabilities that your competitors don't have. To accomplish this, we need to work together with the industry. We need to learn from you. That's a good part of what this week is about. But we need to also work together with the many, many vendors that build software, provide systems integration, that put all of the pieces together that allow you to create these applications. That's why it's so important that we provide training such as this event and other training to create a whole ecosystem for creating solutions for your business. Now, in thinking about this, we think about it as multiple stacks. How can the capabilities all fit together? The development process begins and ends across all of these stacks. The developer, the designer process, they're all critical throughout this, connecting with IT. Data management tools, service-oriented applications and business process, being able to build that infrastructure. The BI pieces to get that data out, the business analysis, being able to create tools that are built in with products like SQL Server together with Office, and particularly the new version of Office, Office 2007, to be able to provide analysis capability to your end users like they've never seen before. And then also the ability to create user experiences across a wide variety of devices. More and more of the applications that are being built need to run on the web, they need to run on the internet, they even may be targeting users with mobile phones and other mobile devices. So having consistent ways of connecting to customers and suppliers across all of that. It's all one connected system, and we think about the different roles that are involved in making it successful. The back-end pieces like SQL Server, as I said, are very important. Connection to legacy is important, but the development and design process is also critical. So with that, I'd like to introduce Keith Smith to give us a demonstration of some of the new things we're doing, both in Visual Studio as well as the Expression suite for designers. Keith.
Bob. Thanks, Bob. In this demo, we'll be showing how we're integrating two new roles into the software development lifecycle: database professionals and professional designers. Here we are in Team Data. Let's say we've been assigned a work item to rename a column in our customers table. To do so, we'll navigate down to that table. Let's expand it here, show its columns, and let's say we want to rename the contact name column. We'll select it, go to the data menu, choose refactor, and select rename. We're prompted for the new name. Let's change that to contact full name. And click OK to preview our changes. All that's left is to click apply, and the rename operation is underway. So rename is much more than a global search and replace. It's actually a smart operation that knows how to apply this schema update completely and correctly across our entire schema.
The Visual Studio Team Data is an important SKU because it makes it much easier to work with data information within the database and to manage that database. This is an area where we really needed to move forward with our Visual Studio product line, and this product as a part of Visual Studio it really drives forward and brings out the capabilities of SQL Server.
Absolutely. And the rename operation has full support for undo and redo, so if we make a mistake, we can quickly back out our change and try again. You also notice our entire solution is under version control, so if we find a problem later on, it's easy to roll back the entire application to a last known good state. Now, this is typically a very error-prone, time-consuming, and tedious task, but using the change management features of Team Data, you see we've completed it quickly and most importantly, correctly. So now let's say we want to deploy those changes out to our development server. This too is easy by selecting the data menu, going to Schema Compare, and choosing a new schema comparison. We can then select our database project as the source schema and the development server as the target and click OK. So now Team Data will show us all the differences that exist between the two schemas. We can filter to only show the differences and see what things we need to resolve. Synchronizing the schemas is just a simple matter of clicking Write Updates. We'll select Yes, and just like that, we've quickly synchronized the schema so that all of our changes are back on our development server. So now, before we put these schema changes into our production environment, it's probably a good idea to run our unit test. We don't want to introduce any regressions, so running those tests is probably a good idea.
And having testing at the database level is a key part of the team data to allow you to make sure that any changes you do make in the database schema environment are fully consistent and work together with your software before it gets deployed into production. Very good point.
So here we have our store procedure test, this unit test, for the 5 newest customer store procedure. You see it's written completely in T-SQL. It includes a row count test condition down below that essentially checks to make sure that store procedure returns exactly 5 rows each time it's executed. Running the test is simply going to the test view, right-clicking on the test, and choosing Run Selection. At this point, the test is executed, sample data is generated, and shortly, we see it passed. So now we have higher confidence that the changes that we made to our schema can be put into production without having any unexpected side effects.
So that's the database role. Let's take a look at the designer side.
Absolutely. So here we are in Expression Interactive Designer, also known as EID. And we're building this rich application that has the graphics capabilities of Windows Presentation Foundation baked in. Our task as a designer is to complete this interface and then hand it off to our developer for bringing it to life. You can see this design already has some slick animation sequences and other graphical elements to give it some pizzazz. All we need to do is add a button to our shopping cart that allows the user to confirm the order and then check out. So this is easily accomplished using EID. First, we'll go to the appropriate section in the UI. So we're down here in the confirm order grid. And we'll add a button from our rich palette of controls from Windows Presentation Foundation. There's our button up at the top. So we need to move the button in an appropriate location down in the bottom center of the grid. And to do that, I'll use the layout menu. But before I do that, let me go ahead and bump up the size of our interface so we can see what's going on here.
So one of the things about Interactive Designer, Expression Interactive Designer, is it's written using Windows Presentation Foundation. So we take advantage of many of the very rich capabilities that new graphical interface provides.
Right. So now, to change the button to move it in an appropriate location, we'll go to the layout menu. I just happen to know it should be row 13 and column 1, so let's change that. And the button moved over. And now, since this is about designer-developer interaction, let's go ahead and give our button a cool designer or developer-friendly ID. So we'll go ahead and select that. Great. We want to call it button confirm order. Developers understand that thing pretty easily. And while we're at it, we'll give it a cool user-friendly caption. Button doesn't really mean anything, so we'll make it confirm order. Now we're almost finished, but the button is still a bit boring and plain. What we want to do is apply the same styling to this button that exists everywhere else in our UI. We can quickly accomplish this by right-clicking on the button, choosing Edit Style, going to Apply Resource, and then applying the default button style that exists. So just that quickly, we finished up our interface. Now to hand it off to the developer, all we have to do is click File and Save.
And so this handoff between the designer and the developer is a very critical thing in Expression. The designer is designing the actual user interface and is laying it out in a way that the developer can directly take in Visual Studio and then begin to write code against.
Very good point, and that's what we see here. Since we're sharing the exact same project definition files with our designer, Visual Studio has noticed the change that our designer has made and is prompting us to synchronize the file. So we'll go ahead and click Yes to All. And we're looking at the markup that completely describes the interface. So we can quickly do a search, and there's a confirm order button that our designer added. So as a developer, all I have to do is code up the logic behind this button. To do that, I'll switch to the code view, and let's navigate to the click event for our confirm order button. And there we go. So now we need some order processing logic, and luckily I have such logic sitting on my toolbox. So I'll double click and add that in. All that's left is to build the solution, make sure everything works, and then we'll deploy our application using click once. All right, our build succeeded. Publishing an application, we'll just right-click on the properties for the project, choose Publish, and since we're accepting the defaults, I'll just go ahead and click Finish. Now, click once is a deployment technology that brings the same simplicity and availability to rich client applications like ours that users have expected from web applications. So we see that our application has been published. We'll switch over to our storefront, which we have here, and we see it's a pretty typical e-commerce site with text and images. What we're interested in is this online enhanced shopping experience that we just built. So let's go ahead and start it. After a little click once magic, we arrive in Windows Presentation Foundation Nirvana. So we have some videos. They're pulling us into the site. We have some cool animations that make using the site more interactive, more fun. We can interact with the items that we're interested in purchasing in a more sort of immersive way. One cool thing is rotating, taking advantage of the rich 3D capabilities of Windows Presentation Foundation. And I can also see how my bike will look as I pass other people on the trail. So let me add that to my cart, and I'll continue my checkout. There we go. And here's the button. Yep, so we click that, and we're finished.
It's great. So the developer working together to build a truly immersive experience for the customer.
Absolutely.
That's great. Thanks, Keith.
Thanks, Bob.
Now, all these products, Visual Studio, Expression, SQL Server, BizTalk, all fit together. With SQL Server 2005, Visual Studio 2005, and the new version of BizTalk, we have an incredible set of technologies that allow you to build solutions that will really drive your business forward. To learn more about this, Steve Guggenheimer will be doing a strategic briefing tomorrow, starting at 3:15 to 4:30.
And now, the fourth promise and the final episode of 4.
Previously on 4.
Denial of service? Denied.
We're losing $1 million a minute.
Carl, you're fired. I think you and I could make beautiful applications together.
The following takes place between 10:44 a.m. and 10:48 a.m.
President Ritchie, what can I do for you?
I just got an email on my smartphone that says we have 4 minutes to submit our final offer for Minibank. I need advice from my key people, instant collaboration. It's a merger, Jack. This is life and death.
Putting you on hold, President Ritchie.
There's a rumor on the Sledge report that Minibank may have to restate quarterly earnings.
It's Greek. It's Greek.
This means they may not be worth what we think they're worth.
President Ritchie, my sources say Minibank is exaggerating earnings. We need to put together a crisis collaboration team for you.
Right, but I've only got 4
minutes! I understand, President Ritchie. How do we do this?
I'll get a SharePoint site up ASAP.
The last time we tried to put together a team like this, it took 4 weeks.
Yeah, well, now we have 4 minutes. We'll need to contact experts from risk management, finance, corporate counsel, and about 27 other departments.
Good thing everyone has unified messaging.
What's this? SharePoint's so easy, even Jack could do it.
I don't like your tone. Yeah.
Okay, they're all working on it together.
Can you conference everyone in to present to President Ritchie?
Sure, I'm sending a live meeting link to her inbox now.
Okay, thoughts on the merger? Roger, what's the opinion of risk management?
We could mitigate our risk by reducing the cost of acquisition.
Great. Fran from finance.
They're definitely devalued.
Dinosaur? Chris from corporate counsel.
When the value does fall, you must lowball.
Okay. We lower our offer by $50 million. Update the contract based on that, Chris.
When the president asks, I do the tasks.
Thanks, people. I'm signing off. Jack.
Yes, President Ritchie. She's putting me on with the chairman of Mondo Bank. The big man himself, Mr. B.
Jack Bauer?
Yes, sir.
You've done great things in the last 12 minutes. How'd you manage it?
Well, you know, I work pretty hard. Really?
Well, I couldn't have done it without my IT and development teams, and they were able to do their best because of great software.
Software, huh? Wouldn't know anything about that myself. Bit of a technophobe. Look, just keep up the good work.
Will do, sir.
All right, I'm giving you back to Bank President Ritchie now.
Bank President Ritchie. That much? Because we work so well together as a team, she is giving me a big fat bonus. God.
Please welcome Microsoft Corporate Vice President, Information Worker, PMG, Chris Capossela.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's great to be here and to close the show with the last promise. I wanted to talk a little bit about the things we're doing to help you amplify the impact of your people. So let's jump right in. I want to make sure Bob keeps his promise of finishing on time. When we think about the things that we can do to help you amplify the impact of your people, we're basically focusing on three key capabilities. The first one is around unified communications and collaboration. This is all about helping teams work together more easily by providing one infrastructure that allows you to bring together lots of different communication technologies and communication channels into one server with a very simple to use desktop set of applications to interact with that server. When it comes to enterprise content management, we think there's a lot that we can do through our servers to make it easier for you to protect and control your content while still letting people use the tools that they know and love on the desktop to create content and have that content flow through the company using custom-defined workflows that you can build for certain business processes. And the last capability that we're investing heavily in is what we call business intelligence. We talked about this a little bit earlier on. When we think about how it can amplify the impact of your people, we think search is an incredibly important part of this, and then helping you not just find the information that you need, but get the insight from that information and take action on it. And that's something we're very focused on. So when you think about amplifying the impact of your people, you should think about a single set of servers that are easy to manage, with a single set of desktop applications that your users can use to get a lot more out of the investments that you've made in your infrastructure. One of the key ways that we'll deliver this to you is through the 2007 Microsoft Office system. As many people hopefully know, Office is a lot more than just the desktop applications. In fact, it's about 30 to 35 desktop applications, servers, and services that make up the system itself. I only wanted to talk about the 4 core products that make up the Office system that we think are the products that you'll want to consider for every single one of your users to have access to. So first and foremost is something Ray mentioned earlier tonight, and that's Microsoft Office Enterprise 2007. This is a new enterprise suite that, in addition to Word and Excel and Outlook and PowerPoint, also includes things like InfoPath, so that people can create easy-to-use forms. Office Communicator as the client application that people can use for secure instant messaging, for video conferencing, for web conferencing, etc. It also includes OneNote for digital note-taking, and of course, Microsoft Office Groove, which we're incredibly excited to be bringing out as part of an Office suite. So this Office Enterprise suite really forms what we consider to be the ultimate collaboration desktop. One suite that you roll out to a set of people, it interacts with a whole bunch of different servers in your organization and makes people incredibly collaborative and hopefully very efficient. Now, there are 3 core servers that make up the Office system. Of course, there are more than 3, but I just wanted to touch on the ones that are incredibly broad and that most customers tell us they want to have some solution in this space. Number 1 is, of course, Microsoft Office SharePoint Server 2007. You should think about this as the collaboration and content management server. One server product that allows you to create a lot of different collaboration workspaces, intranet sites, internet sites, extranet sites, etc., and provides fantastic enterprise search capabilities. and we'll talk about that in a little while. Both Office Enterprise 2007 and Office SharePoint Server 2007, we're on track with the engineering teams to deliver those by October of 2006. We've just gone to Beta 2 with those, and we have a tremendous uptake of the beta. And as always, the feedback that we get from Beta 2 will determine our ultimate ship date, but right now the engineering teams are on track to be done by October 2006. Now, Exchange Server 2007 is another incredibly important part of the Office system. Of course, this is the email, calendar, and now the unified messaging server that gives you one piece of infrastructure to manage unified messages, voice, fax, etc. We're going Beta 2 next month. Anyone who's an MSDN or TechNet subscriber will have access to that Beta 2. Everybody here who goes to our booth will be able to actually sign up to get Beta 2 for Exchange Server 2007. We're hoping to be done with that product by the end of this year. But again, that Beta 2 feedback will be incredibly important to give us the green light to be done with that product. And then the third server that I wanted to mention is what we call Office Live Communication Server. We'll formally announce the name for this product for the sort of 12 wave in a couple of months. But this is what you should consider as our real-time communication server. It's the piece of infrastructure you need to provide instant messaging, video conferencing, etc. for all of your users. And that new version will be available sometime in 2007. So again, the real value proposition we have to all of you is to provide 3 very broad horizontal servers that you can manage in a very similar way, and 1 desktop suite that when you're using these in conjunction with each other, you're really amplifying the impact of your people. I wanted to really follow the leadership with demos, so that's essentially it for me for slides. I want to use the rest of my time here to basically give you a demo of Windows Vista, the Office system, and of course Exchange Server 2007. So let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. You'll see as we switch over our screen, I need to make sure I can see that. Great. That I'm running on a Windows Vista machine. This is Beta 2. Of course, you can see the sidebar with a picture slide library here, my clock, my RSS feed watcher, a little game, etc. Let me jump right into Office, and I'm actually going to show you Outlook. I mentioned that we think we have an opportunity to really unify communications. You'll see in Outlook, right here as I'm looking at this mail, I can take a look at all the different people that are on this mail and see that he's left me some voicemail. I can take some actions there from here. One of the things I might want to do is to send a quick instant message to one of these people. Today, when you do an instant message, the history of that instant message is literally gone. With Outlook 2007, we give you the ability to track the history of all your IMs. So we just add a new folder right there, and now here are all the IMs that I've done. I can right-click and choose to sort this just like an email and see all the IMs by who I've sent them to, or by who it was created by, or by the date, or by the conversation. So one place to manage my email, my calendar, my tasks, as well as my instant messages. And you'll also notice that we're making Outlook an RSS reader. So here, when I expand the RSS feed folder, here are all of my RSS subscriptions showing up right here inside of Outlook itself. Anytime I'm browsing something in IE and I subscribe to an RSS feed, it'll literally just show up right here. And we're storing these in Exchange. So if I'm using Outlook Web Access, or if I move to a different machine, these RSS feeds follow me. And I don't need a separate piece of software to do RSS reading. I literally have it built right into Outlook itself. Now, when I click back in here, we'll take a look at what's happening, and you'll notice that one of the things that we're doing is using Exchange Server 2007 to introduce unified messaging capabilities. So right away, you see that I've got a voicemail right here from somebody, and I get to it right inside of Outlook itself. Notice I can take audio notes right here if I'd like to do that. Let me go ahead and click on play and see if we can hear this.
Chris, could you please put together a first draft of the deck for the sales managers meeting? Please work with the team. Thanks.
And you'll notice as I play that back, I actually can take some notes on this. So now this is searchable, and I know what this call is all about. I can close this down, and off I go. I can save the changes to it, and we're off and running. So one piece of infrastructure with Exchange Server to unify not just your email and your calendars and your tasks, but also voicemails and fax. That's all managed right here from within inside of the Outlook user interface. Now, if you couldn't hear that actual voicemail in this big room, I was asked to help work on a presentation, so I'm going to switch over to that. But before I do that, not only are we introducing unified messaging and Exchange Server and letting you have access to that from your mobile device, from Outlook Web Access or for Outlook, but we're also introducing what we call Outlook Voice Access, where you can literally use just any phone, it doesn't have to be a smartphone, and literally dial into your Exchange Server and get access to your calendar, your email, etc., just using your voice. So if you're running late, you can literally talk to your Exchange Server, tell it to cancel your next meeting, or tell it to let everybody know that you're going to be late to that next meeting. A great way to access all this information that Exchange Server brings together in one place. Okay, I want to get started on this presentation, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize Outlook, and right away I'm going to start by searching. I'm going to search for a sales phrase, and when I start searching on Vista, you'll see it'll look inside of my favorites and my different files and my communications. I can also just say I want to search the entire computer. It'll bring up my search window here. Of course, I can navigate through different live previews of my icons, which is great. I can scroll down here and get a sense for what might be in any one of these particular files. Let's go one more. Here's actually a thumbnail of the contents of an Office document. Here's a PowerPoint presentation, and I see the actual first slide right in the thumbnail. When I click on it inside of Vista, we'll preview this document on the right-hand side, and I can actually click right here inside of Vista without opening up PowerPoint and make sure this is actually the PowerPoint presentation I want to open. Notice the metadata that I see at the bottom. There's a lot I can do with this file right inside of Vista itself. I'm going to double click to open this up inside of PowerPoint. I'm going to quickly close down that search window. And here we are inside of PowerPoint itself. We're doing a lot to make these documents far more beautiful right out of the box. So people will be able to create these types of presentations without needing graphic support from a graphic designer. And that's a key design element to the new Office product. Notice here I want to maybe finish off this presentation. I've got an empty box up here where this describes our product cycle. So I'm going to say that we take customer feedback, we spell that correctly, we take in marketing input, and of course we do R&D. Typically you'd stop here in most PowerPoint presentations, but with the new user interface in Office, we think we can help people create much more beautiful documents and get people to see the power right inside the product. So notice when I hover over this, it says that I can convert this bullet list to smart art. I'll just click on that and drop down a really rich gallery of built-in artwork into the product. We'll convert those 3 bullets into a picture. And let's just dismiss the bulleted list. And if I want, I can browse through the gallery of built-in templates to make this product cycle look the way I want. I'll click on this one. And from here, I might want to change the actual design. And notice as I'm hovering over each one of these things, you can see a live preview of what's happening on the slide itself. I'll go ahead and pick this one. And I might want to change the colors. And we'll load in the work that I've done here. And you can see, again, the live preview showing me live feedback. Maybe I'll choose this one right here. And very quickly, using the new ribbon, which is part of our user interface, we feel like we're going to give people far more access to the power inside of each one of these Office applications. I've worked on this slide right here, but what I'd like to do is to actually add a new slide that I know exists somewhere inside my company, but I'm not sure where. I showed you searching for information on your desktop PC in Vista. Now what I'd like to do is to switch over to our intranet site and show you our enterprise search capabilities. I'll use Alt-Tab, and you'll see the new Vista Alt-Tab, which makes it very easy for me to pick the thing I want, and we automatically add a desktop item. A lot of people have a hard time getting to their desktop. We add that to the list. I'm going to switch over to SharePoint, which we're using to run our intranet, and I'm going to start searching for Orion 2007, which is a brand new product that we're working on. And this is actually going to run a SharePoint search for us. And search is a really interesting thing for us to work on with SharePoint, because searching inside your company is a lot different than searching on the internet. As I mentioned, internet searches today are typically something that are much more successful than searches inside your own company. We can do far better in the new release with our relevance ranking, getting far, far better. And the other thing is we can find things inside a company that you typically wouldn't be able to find on the internet. So not only are we going to search all the unstructured data that SharePoint is going to go out and crawl, but through a new capability in SharePoint, we actually let you point us to structured data. SAP, Siebel, CRM systems, your custom apps that you've written yourself, and we can find information from those structured apps and bring it back in one unified view. So here we see the results. I can subscribe to an alert or subscribe to an RSS feed right from this search, but you'll also notice this is all unstructured data that just lives inside our organization. Right here, I can click on People, and now we're going to show you all the people in our company who are experts on this particular product, in this case, sorted by social distance from me. So we're using Active Directory to tell us who are the people close to me in the org structure, who know about this product, put them at the top. They're my colleagues. Who are the people who are my colleagues' colleagues? Put them next, and then put everybody else. Notice I might want to sort by relevance. So instead of social distance to me, I just want to know who is the expert on this product. Notice the little presence icon that's integrated right into this view. This is using Live Communication Server to tell us who this person is, whether or not they're online. Notice I can view her My Site. So Tammy is supposed to be the expert here. I'm going to just click on the presence icon, and I'm going to choose to view her My Site, which is her personal site on the intranet. And from here, I can see all kinds of things that are interesting about me and Tammy. I can see who the manager is that we have in common. I can see colleagues that we both know in the company. I can see SharePoint sites that we're both members of, Exchange distribution lists that we're both members of. I can see links that Tammy thinks are interesting for me to go to, including a couple of wikis that she's participating in, provided just by Office SharePoint Server inside our company. I can also see documents that Tammy is working on. If I click on this marketing link, this is nothing more than a SharePoint site that Tammy and I are both working on. And in a minute, this will bring up all the documents that Tammy is working on that My Site that I have access to. So we're doing site aggregation across the different My Sites and across the different SharePoint sites and listing all of that right here. Much easier for me to interact with Tammy. I noticed Tammy also has a blog as part of her My Site. Sure enough, I can go ahead and work with this blog right here, and SharePoint provides the capability to do blogs inside your company. It looks like she has a slide library for working with the products. I want to talk about how slide libraries let you manage your content. What Tammy's done is to take a bunch of PowerPoint files, put them up in the slide library, and now I see the individual slides. And I can see who has the slide checked out, when the last time it was changed. I can filter by author. These are all living in a SharePoint site, not on people's hard drives. From here, I can grab a single slide that I want to add to my presentation, send it over to my presentation. I'm going to add it to the one we're working on. And most importantly, I want SharePoint and PowerPoint to tell me anytime the slide in the central SharePoint location changes. I'll hit send, and in a moment, we'll bring that slide down from SharePoint, add it to PowerPoint. Give this a second. And if things are working correctly for me, it'll pick up all of the style formatting that we have inside the PowerPoint presentation itself. Great, there it is. There's that presentation, and it picked up, again, the graphic formatting. Now, I've already done that same thing by adding this slide to the from the SharePoint library right here on slide 4. And I'm going to show you what this looks like when somebody has changed it on the central location. I can just right-click on this little icon and say, check this slide for changes. We query SharePoint and we say, yup, the one you have is older than the one up on the SharePoint site. Notice the red text that's down here? I'm going to update the one I have by bringing down the later copy that exists on the SharePoint site. Click back, and there's the red text. So a very, very easy way for you to manage your content centrally. Add your rights protection to that central repository of slides and let everybody work at it inside of PowerPoint itself. The last thing I want to do here before this presentation is final is to really scrub it and to protect the data that I might have in here and make sure all of these little comments and annotations aren't in the PowerPoint presentation when I share it with other people. We see a lot of people trying to do work to finish their documents. So we've added a whole bunch of capabilities like marking documents as final or restricting permission with the rights management built into Windows Server or inspecting the document. Let's just inspect it. We'll save the changes, and it's going to inspect the document for comments and annotations, for invisible on-slide content, etc. And it quickly sees that we do have comments and annotations. Keep your eyes, I guess, right here at this comment, and I'll go ahead and hit remove all. That'll delete that. Notice we've got some presentation notes here. When I click remove all, it'll delete those as well. And now I know that all of that content has been removed from my document, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, across the entire document itself. And now I'm essentially ready to share this with someone else. So there's a lot that we can do with protecting your content through SharePoint and the Office applications, but Vista does a lot to protect your content as well. Someone earlier mentioned the BitLocker encryption, which you can use on all your Vista machines. Over 600,000 laptops are lost every single year. And now with BitLocker encryption, you know that the third-party tools that are used to basically break into machines aren't going to work. It's much more secure. The other thing I wanted to point out is that we're doing things to help you secure information against devices like this, a USB stick. This is nothing more than a USB hard drive. And we know of a lot of companies that are actually putting glue in the USB drives or in those USB ports to stop people from being able to use these USB drives because they're so terrified of data walking out. What we're doing here is using group policy. So when I plug in one of these USB drives, you'll see Vista's going to start to install the device driver software. It's going to do the group policy check, and in a minute it's going to say, hey, this device installation was prevented by policy. Now, in this case, this is an unencrypted USB stick. You can allow encrypted ones, but not unencrypted ones. You can allow mice, but not any USB drives. It's group policy. You get to set it. You get to protect the information that's in your infrastructure right there, which is great. The last thing I'm going to do is actually to switch over to the last part of my presentation. I'm running a tiny bit long. I wanted to show you the things that we're doing around collaboration on a device like this. I think you know a lot of the investments that we're making with Windows Mobile. We're shipping a lot of Office applications right on these mobile devices. So Office Word, Office Excel, recently Office PowerPoint, and Office Communicator. Let's take a look at the device itself, and I'll put it right here on the little Elmo cam. And there you go, you can see it. This is actually running the next generation of Windows Mobile software, and you'll see that there are a couple of things. Right there you see presence. I'm currently marked as offline. If I were to log in, I'd see all of my buddies in my Office Communicator Mobile and be able to do the same things I can do on my PC with this mobile device. I'm going to just switch into email real quick. Here's an email I have from somebody. I'm going to open it up. And notice here's a link. I get a lot of these links to SharePoint sites. In today's world, I literally cannot follow this link without VPNing in. In tomorrow's world, with Exchange Server 2007, Office SharePoint Server 2007, I literally can I don't have to VPN in. I can enter my credentials once, and I can open up this PowerPoint presentation right here on this Windows mobile device, use it in the PowerPoint mobile application, present on it, et cetera, et cetera. So you have one set of infrastructure that not only allows access from your PC, but is also allowing access from your mobile devices, from internet kiosks, going through your network in the ways that you want. So let's switch back over to the slides and let me quickly wrap up. But I hope you got a flavor for some of the things that we're working on across Vista, Office, and of course, Exchange Server. And that's one of the big promises we have to help you amplify the impact of your people. With that, you can see the roadmap that we've already talked about, and I wanted to thank you very much. Enjoy the show.
So, people really are the center of business, and technology helps to make people as effective as they can be. I know that your managers and your organizations demand that you have bring back both short-term results as well as think in the long term. When you're thinking about business projects, when you're thinking about your next IT project, when you're thinking about how you manage your systems, we know that that's a close partnership and that it's an interesting and important choice that you need to think about long term. That's why we're making these promises. That's why we're investing in the long run. That's why we're focused on being transparent, providing vision, and generating leadership to help you be successful. We need to work together to do this across the whole industry. That's what TechEd is all about. This week is about 480 breakouts, 300 chalk talks, 120 hands-on labs. All of those are opportunities for us to learn from you and from you to learn from us and for the whole industry to work together. It will really take that for us to deliver on the next wave of challenge that we all face in IT. But with that delivery, we're confident that we can work together to make you successful. And that's our promise to you. Thank you very much. Have a great time at TechEd.
The following outtakes took place during the filming of 4. Viewer discretion is advised.
1, you guys ready? All right, let's go. Really?
I can't tell you how uncomfortable it is. Oh boy, you got such the wrong guy here. First it's George Clooney in Ocean's 11. I mean, come on.
Oops. Way to go. I knew.
This is it, buddy. This is what the big bucks are all about.
Server room. Here. Interns Bob.
And Carol speaking.
Yeah. Careful, careful, careful! It's not a toy! I was wanting to do that.
Here you go.
Nice shoes, Bob. You know what it is? This security thing doesn't work out, you could always go cause some trouble. It just sucks to be an intern. Why did that always happen? Watch it, Ted! You're not an actor. You're not an actor.
I wasn't on the script.
I know.
Are we done? Is this for real?
Yes.
All right.
I can't move my arms.
Don't hurt yourself.
If there isn't, Bob.
Come on, he's blonde.